County staff with teaching backgrounds have been directed to return to the classroom to teach. Retired teachers, too, have been asked to help. The call follows the decision by the Teachers Service Commission to recall more than 900 non-local teachers who say they fear terrorist attacks. Non-local teachers have been targeted by Shabaab. Now, the situation in Wajir is replicated across northeastern Kenya, with residents worried about the effect of the recall on education in the region, even as the government strives to achieve a 100% transition. Let's listen to the sentiments of Mandera Governor Ali Roba on the same.
You know, in real sense, the function of running primary and secondary schools in the country is national government function, which we intend to respect as national government function. It's not the responsibility of the county government. Nevertheless, I mean, for example, in what is the responsibility of the county government, such as the ECD program and vocational training centers, we are no longer susceptible to challenges of non-local teachers moving, and that sector is extremely stable. Learning is ongoing in that sector. However, as the governor of Mandera County, when learning completely stops as a result of lack of teachers, then we cannot not say it's not a county government function and fold our arms and sit. As such, we've had a major meeting between the leadership of Mandera recently, and we've agreed that we're going to host a conference in Mandera, bringing together all the education stakeholders as well as also the national and county government team on the ground. A number of measures have been planned to mitigate. One, in the short term, how do we mitigate and make sure that the institutions remain open and learning goes on? And some of these measures are recruitment of UT teachers through BOM that is planned in order to make sure that we bridge the gaps in that program. And we are looking at also redeployment of some of the county government staff that have teaching background that are recruited in serving in different sectors in the short term to help in various schools, and that program also is already it's progressing very well. Those are short-term interventions that we are looking at, and merging schools, you know, where secondary schools are within the same vicinity. The leadership, both the members of parliament and the county government, will look at how we can support these schools with transport logistics. And instead of having this school with a few teachers and the other school with few teachers, we want the schools to complement one another by merging several schools, and they are able to share the little resources they have, and in the evening they all go back, they are transported back to their schools in order to make sure that we optimally utilize the resources we have. These are just some temporary measures that we are looking at. But the long-term measures we are looking at is this conference bringing together all the players, and we really want radical relook at how we have manage this education sector and issue of teachers. And we expect to come with outcomes that is going to put us on firm trajectory of recovery from susceptibility to terror shocks and this issue of non-local teachers being moved by drawing up a strategic plan and funding that strategic plan to make sure that we have sufficient teaching personnel over the coming 3-4 years, so that we put this issue behind us once and for all. And that program, we're dead committed. The entire leadership of the county has had a meeting, the county government leadership, the members of parliament from our county, former, current, as well as also members of county assemblies led by the speaker. And this program, we believe, we can put the county on a firm trajectory of recovery once and for all from this susceptibility of over-reliance on non-local teachers, and that program is ongoing.
Right, so TSC has made the decision to recall 900 non-local teachers from the northeastern region. But let's have a look at the numbers, the number of schools that have been affected in Mandera County, and probably how many teachers, non-locals, have left Mandera County. Talking to us via way of phone is the Chief of Staff in Mandera County, David Ohito, joining us via way of phone. And Mr. Ohito, thank you so much for talking to us here on KTN News Center. Talk to us about the number of teachers who've left Mandera County as we speak.
Thank you very much for having us on air. It's a very tricky moment for us now when teachers have been recalled by their employer. And this is a problem that has lived with Mandera, I think, since the beginning of devolution in 2013. I'm sorry, I may not have the correct figures right now, but I'm trying to get the figures right from our Minister of Education shortly. We'll show you. But it's like all non-local teachers who were employed by TSC have been transferred out of the county. What it means is that learning has been disrupted, paralyzed in schools, and it's a major crisis that is building up, to an extent that leaders have called an emergency one-day conference here, which is expected on the 20th of February next week, Thursday, to see how they can employ stopgap measures so that the future of these young Kenyans is not disrupted.
So the Teacher Service Commission, the teachers' employer said that they had to withdraw the non-local teachers because of matters in security, and this is something that has also been talked about by the teachers' union, like NAT, Secretary General Wilson Sosion. So do you agree with the reason that has been given by the teachers' employer?
I do not agree with that reason at all. It really does not resonate with the reality on the ground. I am one of the leading non-local workers in Mandera County as Chief of Staff. My governor's secretary is a non-local, a lady from Western Kenya. His driver is a Kikuyu. And we are so many of us here working as non-locals so comfortably. Yes, there are security concerns. We take care of ourselves, but we continue working. Nearly half of our workforce is in the health sector, non-local, the nurses, clinical officers, technicians, and so on. There's a very big workforce of non-locals. In the national government, the county commissioner himself, the police officers, the security chiefs, these are non-locals. So the question of trying to lump that non-locals are unwanted in Mandera really does not hold the truth and does not reflect the reality on the ground. And as I've said before, Mandera has lived with this challenge before, from 2013. That is why the shock is not as bad as it is in Garissa. And they are, of course, measures which are being taken by the county government. As you heard the governor himself saying, we have to resort to some 3-4 short-term measures to try and bridge the gap. One is to hire and train teachers to try and help the pupils in classes and the students. 2 is to merge the schools so that where you have one resourceful teacher teaching maths, then schools which are near each other, you can have one teacher availing or imparting knowledge to 3 or 4 classes so that there is a bigger benefit spread over the region. 4 is they're also trying to get quite a number of very many workforce members of the county government have teaching qualifications. So some of us will be seconded to classrooms sooner or later. We have one former MP who was volunteered to teach the whole month of March as a teacher, go back to classroom and take up lessons. So these are short-term measures. But we hope that the conference that is coming up on Thursday next week, and which Professor Magoha has been invited. We don't know whether we'll turn up or not. TSC chair and CEO have been invited. I'm sure I sent their letters. And many other stakeholders, the MPs, the NAT Secretary General, Sosion has been called, so that they have a reality touch with the ground and also to listen to local proposals from the leaders here on the way forward. Because education is a basic right which cannot be denied to the people of Mandera.
Giving us a breakdown, on the short-term solutions that Mandera County is trying to put in place, including that conference. But let's talk about the 100% transition that the government has been talking about. And, so do you think the 100% transition is achievable? And probably what is Mandera County government putting in place to ensure that 100% transition from primary school to secondary school is achieved?
It's one thing to have the policy or drive to have 100% transition, while your own officials withdraw teachers. So are we just transiting numbers, or are we looking at the quality of learning that is taking place in our schools? That is the big question that we should be having. Why would you have 100 students move from one class to the next class, yet they cannot read or write or know the difference of 3 plus 3 and the difference of 1 and 2? So numbers for me do not make sense. Any economy that has grown in the world must make sure the quality of teaching and the results that come out after knowledge has been implanted on children really reflects a society that wants to grow. We have had this challenge of having masses ever since the free primary school was, policy was put in place. But have we seen quality? Is that where the country wants to go, that everybody has moved to the next level, has transited, but you have people who can barely read and write upon their graduation? So I think there's need to have a serious conversation on what does the country really want. Why would you have a doctor who would not diagnose you? Why would you want to have a journalist who can barely ask a relevant question in class just because you want to transit numbers?
And Ms. Ohito, lastly, as you speak, so you tell us that, all non-local teachers in Northeastern region have been moved away from that region, from Mandera County by TSC. So how many schools have been affected?
Yeah, quite. Basically, it affects very many other schools. But the converse of this is that we have lots of private schools around the county. Private schools owned and run and managed by non-local teachers. And they're doing pretty well. And we also have quite a number of those non-local teachers who are saying, no, we are being forced out of Mandera. We do not want to go. So it's another big area of debate that TSC should sit and say, if you are a non-local teacher and you feel you are comfortable in Mandera or Garissa and Wajir and you want to stay, please let us know so that we let you. We don't move you out. But now what it looks like is that people are given opportunities. Vacancies are advertised for these affected counties. People join the payroll on TSC, and the next thing you hear that statement that we have withdrawn the teachers. It's really not fair for the people of Mandera, Garissa, and Wajir.